Okay, so you have just finished Formative 4.2 and Summative 4.2. Now you have planned for a coaching session. Now you're actually going to go out and run a coaching session. So there's 3 steps. Plan for the session. So we've just done that. We're going to put together a template. These are the things that we're going to cover. These are the questions we're going to ask. Then you're going to actually go into the session. So you set the climate, clarify expectations, you ask for and you give advice, you compile an action plan, and then you reinforce the behaviors. So the good behaviors, you keep on telling them about where they are succeeding, what they are doing right, in order for them to actually hear you when you're saying these are the things you need to work on. And then right at the end, you're going to follow up and assess performance. So we've put together an action plan. You've got to hold them to it. You've got to keep them accountable to what they said during the coaching session. So those are the 3 phases that you will use during coaching. There's also a couple of methodologies. And so I'm going to take you to these methodologies on page 27. They got cool names like Coach, Oscar, Cigar, and Steer. It just means that it's a different acronym for different things that you want to achieve. So let's take a look at those different methodologies. So over there, the coach model, okay, which is the first one, you clarify any issues, you open up the resources, agree on the preferred outcome, you create an opportunity, and you head for success. Now, that's a coaching model that has been around for a long time. The Oscar model is a little bit different. You'll see what those things are. The steer model, the cigar model is the one that I prefer. And the reason that I use the cigar model is because it looks at your current reality. So where are you now? What are you doing now? How are you, what are your practices at this moment? What is your behaviors? What are your attitudes? That's your current reality. What is the ideal? So where do you want to get to? What is the plan for the future in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years? So where do you want to get to? Where is the gap between where you are now and where you want to get to? Now you've got to create actions to get you from where you are now to where you want to get to. And then throughout the process, you're going to review, are we on the right track? So that's my favorite cigar, but look through these. If something else makes more sense to you, use that. That then becomes your methodology in the way that you coach. Okay, so we identify gaps and action. So where someone is underperforming, you need to actually steer them towards taking some kind of action. So developmental goals are identified. Developmental goals are linked to the department's objectives. So if you are underperforming, it means that the whole department is underperforming. Then you look at development. Okay, so how are you going to grow? How are you going to move? How are you going to be promoted? You got to look at preparing yourself for the future, for the next job. Then any gaps that you have, any weaknesses, any areas that you are not performing well in, we need to take a look at those. Then we look at your strengths and talents. Okay, so obviously your weakness will never become your strength. Let's look at your strengths and make sure that you are playing towards your strengths as well, and that those are often the things that you use the most. Then one activity is included for each development goal. So, okay, short term wins. If you need to become better at admin, what are the things you need to do? If you need to be better at creating checklists, what do you need to do? On the job development is used wherever possible, so don't always drag them off to a training. Sometimes they can learn from someone who is better than them. Find someone in the workplace that can mentor and coach so that they are able to develop those skills gaps. Then specific completion dates are identified, so this can't last forever. We've got to say, okay, in the next month, these are the outcomes that we want to see, and this is what we are going to hold you accountable to. And then the last thing is development activities are distributed on the job development, self-learning, and training. So we're going to then say, okay, so these are the things that you are agreeing to. I want you to find a mentor, or I'm going to appoint a mentor. These are the training courses that we're going to sign you up for. This is the on-the-job training that we want you to explore. So all of those kinds of things are going to be put together, reviewed, and that's going to be part of the action plan for your employee. Okay, during this coaching session, you're also going to have to give feedback. Okay, so you get positive feedback. So these are the things you're doing well. These are the behaviors that we expect. These are the things that we have seen you do that we are very proud of you for doing. But, and this is the terrible thing, is that there's also times where we're going to have to say you have underperformed or underachieved. Now, the only way that people will listen to you is if you build trust, is if you are coming from a good place, from good faith, that people know that you're not trying to break them down for the fun of it, but really you have their best interests at heart. And so these 7 things are going to be very important. You've got to give it in an interactive manner. You've got to give their opinion. They need to tell you what they're finding, because it could be a problem from the environment side, and that you're going to have to change. So you want to hear their story, and then you also need to add your bit. You've got to make sure that your message is clear, that they understand what you actually don't like about the way that they handle things. And you also need to make sure that it's helpful. You can't just break them down without giving them some kind of solution or something that they can do to find a solution. So all 7 of these things are critical to constructive feedback. So read through that quickly, and then we're going to be moving to the next slide. All right, formative 4.3. So now you've looked at the different coaching models. So cigar, steer, coach, Oscar, all of those ones. Consider the coaching models that are used in your company, in your organization, and tell me if those processes are effective or not. Give reasons to support your observations. So tell me what kind of methodology your organization uses, and is it helpful? Is it useful? And if not, give a suggestion as to one that would be more useful. That's up to you. So what methodology is used? What models are used? And are they effective within your organization? Then your summative. You are now going to coach a first line manager. So you're going to find someone who's going to be your first line manager, and you are going to sit with them and you are going to fill in the table below to document this coaching session. And you're going to explain the coaching process to your first line manager. All right. You're going to discuss with them the key responsibility areas and the gaps and actions that are agreed upon in order to close any developmental holes. Okay. Make sure that positive feedback is also given to the first line manager. So don't just nail them with these are the things that you have to work on. Also be very aware of the things that they're doing well. Normally you're doing 95% of the job very well. Make sure that they know that. Make sure that you drill that into them. Make sure that they understand that this is not them fighting for their lives. Say these are the 5% of things that need to be changed. And so if we work together, if we put actions in place, this is how we are able to achieve it. So you are going to go to Summative 4.3. You're going to fill in the table using someone as your first line manager who you are going to coach. And then remember page 33 and 34, you need to have the signatures. So let's just show you what it looks like. Okay, so there's your formative, and now here's your summative. Okay, and here is your coaching action plan. So you're going to put in the names, the company, all that kind of stuff. What was the purpose, content, and schedule of the coaching process? And you know your key results area, the current performance, and you're going to say, okay, so what actions are we going to use in order to close the gaps? Then general feedback, okay, from you as the coach in terms of the overall performance of your first line manager. And then the first line manager is going to give you some feedback in terms of how you gave the feedback to them. Okay, so was the feedback honest, constructive, and supportive? They're going to mark you. Then everyone signs and dates, and then that's the end of your summative assessment. Guys, remember half an hour, and then you need to be back for the next video.